Okay, we are going to look at problems 8, or like 8, 11, and 28, I believe. So the first question is really asking me to look at just question number 8, kind of going through that and talk about the bar graph that you're looking at. In this example, you have several different bars to look at, and obviously the smallest one is just the one that is the shortest. That's pretty obvious, right? But the question is part B. It asks us, does this give us any evidence to support the claim that this has been changing over a period of time? The reality is that you are looking at a snapshot of just 1 year, right? Now, it looks like there's a lot more PG-13 movies for that year, but no evidence can be used to say that it's happened for a trend over a period of time. So make sure that you're applying what you read to what has been said, right? We can say a lot of things, you can mislead people that way, but the reality is that it's just a static image of one specific time frame. Okay, number 11. It is reasonable for us to add these two numbers together to say that heart disease and respiratory or heart or respiratory diseases are the causes of about 33%, because you can't die from two different reasons, right? On your death certificate, it's only going to be from one thing. So if we add them together, because there's no overlap, we can say that you can just add them together. And it's about 33%, a little bit less. Part B, asking what percent of deaths were caused from not listed values. Well, anytime that you're given a categorical set of data, usually it's going to be in percentages, could be in counts. I want to make sure that I have 100% of all of my data. If I don't, that is a problem. I need to make sure that I actually add them up. If I don't have a category, I'm going to have to add one and call it unknown or missing or unlisted, whatever I'm going to call it, got to do it that way. So that way we can just add up those percentages that you see here. Just add up these percentages, make sure they total 100%. If they don't, then whatever they don't add up to in this group here, that would mean that you have a certain percentage left over, the unknown. Okay. Part C, we wanted to create an appropriate display. Appropriate in this case means any data chart that would be for categorical data. In this example, I've chosen to use a pie chart. This is a good chance for us to practice doing this by hand. As you can see, I'm calculating the degrees for each piece of my pie, my sections. And I do that by taking the percentage as a decimal, the proportion, and I multiply that times 360. Because we have 360 degrees for the entire circle, that means that that percentage of the circle will be dedicated to that section or that sector of the complete circle. So I'm going through and I'm writing down each of the values, so the percentages from this list, and I'm going over here and I'm putting them in and multiplying by 360 to get the actual angle. I am trying to kind of be a little bit general. Obviously, I don't have a super specific way or accurate way to write down 98.2 degrees. So I'm rounding these to the nearest whole degree, and I'm going to use I'm going to estimate these values. I'm not being super specific with it. As long as they're mostly correct, if you've got your angles written correctly, I'm going to say as long as your pie chart looks adequate, if it's approximately correct, then I'm going to be fine. We will talk about how to do this with a protractor, but overall, as long as your angles are relatively close, we're going to be okay with that. Okay, so I'm going here, and the way I started, I drew a circle, and then I drew a line, horizontal line to start with. So I'm just simply giving myself a place to start, and then I'm going to go around, and I'm adding each one of these angles to the previous line, right? So 98 here, and then I added another 83 degrees there, and then I added 23 degrees here, and and you can see here, I'm just simply going down the list until I get to the very last one. The very last one, I'm going to recognize, well, that pie piece is left over. So here's a chance for you to check your work. When I do this, I can measure that last angle that's left over. That should be relatively the same, give or take a degree or 3. It kind of depends. If you have a protractor, you can definitely measure that to make sure that you have a pretty close angle. And here again, I did not measure all of these angles. There are a few that I actually did measure just to make sure I was getting it close, but here's your pie chart. few things I want to make sure I add to my pie chart. You can see here, I have the percentages listed over here. If those percentages hadn't been written down, if I didn't have the other percentage, I would need to make sure I need to add a title and anything else that I feel as is relevant to this chart, right? I didn't need to make a key because I wrote down the title of each one on the piece of the pie. If I hadn't done this, then I would have made sure somehow I would have either color-coded it and then colored these categories, or I would have done it, maybe I shaded it in a different way, but I need to make sure that I add it and be as clear as possible when I go through all of those things. I hope that made sense. Let's go on to the next one.